Hey guys, welcome back to Raise Create Cards. I'm so excited. I think I've got my camera settings figured out on my new phone. It is a Samsung S24, just the regular. I didn't do the Ultra or the Plus. I did take a lot of time to do a lot of comparisons and reviews and yada yada, and I felt like the S24 was going to serve me well. And I have just been loving it over the iPhone. I gotta tell you guys, I have so much functionality, so many things are intuitive than what I had before. And so yes, I'm loving it, but it is a learning curve, but that's okay. Again, my apologies for the Tuesday live video, that the quality was so horrible. And then on top of that, it froze like 2 or 3 times, and that's okay. This next Friday, we'll have our new internet installed. They came out yesterday and ran it from the street to the pole outside the house, and now they've just got to finish connecting and coming inside the house. And yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah. Okay, so going through my templates and things, and I have quite a few of them, I found this. And it was done with the color and contour set, which is still in the annual catalog, and it's still really cute. And this was a landscape card. And of course I have my little notes and things on the inside, because that's all it is. It was a template, okay? So I thought I wanted to make a vertical version of it, and this is what I came up with. Isn't that awesome? This is a little bit of a retake on a sympathy card. You know, we don't always have to have a sentiment that says "in deepest sympathy" and all that kind of thing, okay? And sympathy cards don't have to be somber. You know, you don't have to use a lot of dark colors. Obviously, you don't want to make it look like there's a party going on, but you want something that will just kind of touch them in their heart and kind of brighten their day amidst all the grief and everything that they're going through, okay? And I feel like this card does this perfectly. You won't recognize the sentiment on the inside of this card because I pulled it from Tailored Expressions, okay, and it's this one right here. I ordered this a year or 2 ago. I did get on their website, and I did, and they've still got this available, but I got it mostly for this verse, just for Easter cards. He is not here. He has risen just as he said, Matthew 28:6, praying for unexpected blessings for you. And I really like this one, even though it's not a scripture. No winter lasts forever. No spring skips its turn. And sometimes people just need that grounding message. And then, of course, the foliage stamps. Now, I will tell you that they don't spoil us like Stampin' Up! Does. So this is the one I'm using on today's card. And they don't give you any stickers to put on the back side, but they stamp like a dream. And they're so easy to line up. They're quality made. I love Tailored Expressions. I have a few of their things, mostly for Easter. But let's get ready and let me show you and tell you all the dimensions as we get ready to recreate this card. Alright, so I've got just a typical, it's not a tent fold, it's 8.5 by 5.5, and we scored it at 4 1/4. Now, you're going to want to cut off 1 1/4 inches. Let me get my trimmer. I've still got my arm out. Let me put that back together. And we're going to, well, I should have done my housework, huh? We're going to cut off 1 1/4 inches. And so I'm just going to take it this way to 1 1/4, and I'm trying to look. There's a little shadow there, and I can't see very well. So I'm going to come this way. We're going to come into 1 1/4. We're just going to cut that off. And there's a nice piece for sentiments or small die cuts. So no waste there. Put this away. Now, in my opinion, you get ready to do this card. You do it the way you want to do it, okay? Let me see if I can crease that down a little bit better so it's not quite so up in my face. Not sure if I can get that to lay down more. Let me try it on the front side. Yeah, I didn't really improve it. That's okay. You can always lay something heavy over it. So, you're going to need a piece of DSP that is 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now, I've got 3 different colors going here, and I'm using that delightful floral DSP that came out with the translucent florals, and I love this set. I so hope they carry it over one more time. I've enjoyed this so much. In fact, this was a set that I used for the Christmas sympathy card, okay? I used that, and I am using a verse from our Hope and Prayer, okay? You Are in My Prayers is the one we're going to use. And I did also bring in the stylish shape dies to cut out the sentiment with. So, in my opinion, you need to take this piece here that you have cut at 1 1/8 by 5 3/8 and lay that down right here on this side. Now, let me just kind of dry fit this here for you. You're not going to have a real big border at the top and the bottom. And so this border that you're going to have, if you'll kind of try to match it on this side, it'll work out just fine. Honestly, there is nothing complicated or hard about this card. It's really easy, but it's just a little bit different. And it just puts a little bit of something to that sympathy card without it being really hard. Okay, I'm going to move it down just a hair. And we're straight there. And then you're going to have a bigger piece that is cut 1 5/8 by 5 3/8. Now, 5 3/8 is going to be your length for all 3 of these pieces. 5 3/8, if you're not real good with using a ruler, you go to 5 1/4 and then go 2 more little tick marks, which is another 8 to get your 5 3/8. So maybe that'll help somebody out there if you're new to card making. Not real sure what all these measurements are. Sometimes I don't think to explain that very well. Okay, now we've got that. And then what I'm calling the inside of the card, this one is 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. Now, this is the boldest pattern that I picked, and it's also the smallest piece. Now, I could have used it here or here, but again, I kind of had my eye to the design of the whole card. I didn't want it to be garish. I didn't want it to shock them as soon as they took it out of the envelope. Sometimes that balance can be hard to achieve. So just kind of pay attention to your patterns, and, you know, if they're kind of big and loud and proud, then do the least amount for your boldest pattern. And that's just my suggestion. That is just my opinion. Now, I had my Misty set up, and I still do have it set up, and I had it set up so that I would make sure, because we don't have stickers with the Tailored Expression stamps. And I had it set up in there to try to be straight. Well, guess who forgot to clean the stamp off, and I closed it. And I had just little bits showing. It was like, oh, you know what? You're just going to have to go ahead and ink it up and put it down so it's all good. And so we're just going to put this on the inside. It gives you plenty of room for a message. And if this is not enough room for you, absolutely put you another piece of basic white. I did forget to tell you, this time I am using the thick basic white for the card base, because we don't have a lot of layers and things that are going on with this card. And you do want that little bit extra. It's going to feel so much better and not near as flimsy You know, we have cards, and we have a lot of them, where we are doing, I don't think that's straight, where we are doing layers and things. Yes, absolutely, you can get away with the basic white. You sure can. And so there we go. And the inside message, can I talk today, is hidden, okay? It's hidden when the card is closed. And we're going to get ready to finish the outside. And that is going to take just a hot minute because I want to show you how I did this flower right here, okay? All right, so I'm going to lay that to the side. I went and dug out. I've still got scraps of vellum, and I really did not want to have to get into my my good sheets if I didn't have to. And I do have the light berry burst, and I want the brush end. And I want the brush end because I am wanting to color in enough that I can get my 2 petals die cut out of that. And it may look a little streaked. That's okay. I promise you it's not going to look that way when you die cut. So there we've got the light. Because it is an alcohol marker and the alcohol evaporates so quickly, it doesn't take but a hot minute for that to dry. That is still just a little bit damp. So, in the meantime, I'm bringing in my other scrap. And now I'm going to take my dark Berry Burst blend. You know, I had these when we had Berry Burst the first time. And look, they're still doing great. And it just seems like there is no rhyme or reason as to how they do. I've got some that were so much newer and they've dried up. So I just don't have patience for that kind of thing. And let me explain something to you. If nobody has ever told you, if you haven't figured it out yet, a lot of our products that we sell are for beginners, people that are new to stamping. And Stampin' Blends are a wonderful entry into the world of alcohol markers, but that's all they are. They're an entry into it. And if it's something that you gravitate to and you want to get really good at coloring with alcohol markers, colored pencils, whatever, you will need at some point to go ahead and upgrade, okay? I mean, it is just how it is. You have to buy these as a set to get a light and a dark, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I think they're $9 still for the set, which is, it's good. It's a good beginner price point. It is. Do you have to go to Copics? No. Copics are probably some of the highest priced out there. I have Ohuhu markers, and I gotta tell you, I realized the other day, Rick Adkins also does Ohuhu markers. Now, he recently left Stampin' Up, but if you want some tips and tricks on alcohol markers and how to blend and yada yada, he has put out some very recent videos on his channel, but it's Rick Adkins, Adkins, so go over and check him out, and you'll get some wonderful hints and tips and tricks and all that good stuff. So this is dry. You can turn it over to die cut or not. I'm not. I'm just going to do this side. I do need the translucent floral dies, and the ones I am using are the smaller flower. So I want that one. And I want this one. And I don't even have any tape out to tape it down. I definitely want my Post-it note tape. If I can get a hold of it here. I'm destroying my carousel over there. Hope y'all have had a great week. Hope you have an even better weekend coming up. And just in case I might need to die cut more from here, I'm going to kind of sketch them over a little bit. Tape them down right there. Here's that one. And now I've got to move everything to make room for the machine. And, of course, I have my Gina K. The more I use this, the more I fall in love with it, the more I learn its personality and its little quirks. And I just dropped my cutting mat. Here we go. And we'll get this. I need to go take and wash my cutting mat. It's a little stained. I was actually surprised when I did a bunch of cutting the other day with the Granny, was it Granny Apple Green? No, I think it was Parakeet Party. And my suds at the kitchen sink were green. That's how much dye it had embedded in from the cardstock into the cutting mat. And I thought, well, you know, that's kind of odd. But I guess it depends on who is manufacturing it. So we've got these little pieces here. I'm just going to lay them to the side. I got to retrieve my dies. So I had a set from Hero Arts. It was just butterflies. There were 9 butterflies and 9 dies to cut out the different sizes and shapes of the butterflies. And I actually had taken it to a class. And then, as is my habit, when I got home, I was missing a die. And I thought, how in the world, what has happened? And so I have a bag of trash sitting out in the hall from my trash can here in my card room. And I went through that whole bag. No die. Brought it out to my husband. I said, if you see this, you know, let me know. All right, I am looking for my piece of vellum that I did the dark berry burst on. And I know I just had it. Here we go. We're going to die cut the middle of that flower. And ever so quickly. So I handed him the case. I said, this is what it looks like. He immediately found it. It was hilarious, guys. I got to tell you, it was so funny. It was under one of the photopolymer stamps, but I couldn't see it because of that. You know, there's usually kind of a glare there, and I couldn't see it. So, all right, I've got my die back. Let me get this off of here. All right. You got to love those vellum scraps, people. Save them. You never know when all you need is just a teeny little amount. And I'm not sure that is as dark as I want it. So, let's get this one out of the way. And I'm going to take that little middle. I've got my silicone mat over here. May have some dust and stuff on it, but it'll work for this. And get out my take your pick tool. Some of this stuff is so hard to pick up. Or it is for me. If you don't have that problem, more power to you. I'm going to add another layer of the dark right on that middle because I want there to be a little bit of contrast between the flower petals and the middle of the flower. Here we go. Now, it's been a few days since I looked at the inventory. As far as I know, this designer series paper, the translucent florals, all of that is in stock. And I'm just going to give that a second to dry. In the meantime, you kind of get to see me fiddle with this. Let's see how I want to lay these together. It can matter. You'll know when it looks right. I don't know if I like that. Let me see what I can do. If I go the complete opposite way, I don't like how much that is overlapping that petal. So let's go back to where I was. And now I'm looking at that. Don't like it. Let's put this one on the bottom. Put this one on top. And sometimes that's all you need to do. And I'm going to move it again. I just don't want a lot of daylight in between the petals because it wasn't really meant to have a lot of daylight. But that does not look balanced. Okay, let me look. See if I can figure out on my sample card exactly how I did that. So I've got this one on the bottom, right? Because it came together so easy in my card room. Okay, I've got this one on the bottom, and I have this one on the top, just like that. And doesn't that look more pleasing? So, it may come together easier for you than it did me. And I'm just going to take a drop of glue and lay it right there in the middle, just a drop. And then I'm going to lay that on there. You're not going to be able to see the glue. Don't quite have it perfect. Let me tweak that just a little bit. A little bit. There we go. Am I getting it back? Okay. Not really. It's already setting up. It's already coming together. Oh, and I'm going to tear it. All right. There we go. It allowed me to move it a little bit. There. Now, I want it right there. Right there. Just right there. Okay. Now, if my other part is dry, and it should be by now, and if not, it's okay. Let me pick it up. I've got it over here on my glass mat, my silicone mat, and now I can see a little definition, and hopefully you can too, but you'll see it here in a minute when I raise it up. There is a little bit, in real life, there really is some definition going on there. I'm just going to lay that in ever so gently. Just kind of firmly press where that dot of glue is. Probably should have had my silicone mat under it, huh? Just in case some came out and got on my my paper, my grid paper. Okay. And now, let's get ready. While this is setting up, I'm just going to lay this to the side because we do need to stamp and die cut the outside sentiment, which is "You are in my prayers." And Berry Burst is the only ink color I'm using. I love Berry Burst, and any excuse to use it, I am going to use it. So I'm just going to gently put that down. Now, just like with our Stamparatus, the same is true for the Misty. There is a foam mat that you are supposed to take out when you're stamping with red rubber. I don't. I am just aware that it's there, and so I just don't press as hard. But I'm not into taking it in and forgetting it's in and going to use photopolymer and, oh, I got, you know, I'm just not into that. And I find I can function quite well just leaving it in there. It's not hard at all. There we go. How pretty. I love that stamp too. You are in my prayers. I'm going to take my cleaning cloth that came with my glass mat and clean that stamp off. I know I'm out of camera and you can't see what I'm doing. And I'll tell you something else I've noticed about this camera, especially with the built-in microphone, which I forgot to test that other microphone out with this new phone. I am noticing like background noises are toned way down. In the Tuesday video, I went to pick up the Gina K Intracut. I didn't have paper down, so the suction on the bottom of it, when I went to lift it up, it hadn't released on one corner. What I heard was a very audible pop. But you could barely hear it in the video, and it was like, okay, I am digging this. All right, so I've got this. Let me just go ahead and put that back in my Hope and Prayer set. Should be the only thing missing. I leave sample cards sometimes in my cases, and when I sell or give away my retired stuff, I leave it in there. Whoever gets it will have an idea right off the bat. And I've done that for a long time now. It's just something I like to do. Yes, I could use a card, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice just to have a little bit of an idea for a quick, easy card that you can get a hold of. All right, taking that off my sticky mat. Now I am done with my Misty. And I've used my Misty enough now to know that, all right, I'm looking for my dice here. The screen and everything, and I do clean it, and I clean it with the recommended cleaners and all that, but it's getting a little bit worn already. Really haven't had it that long. All right, we're going to cut this out, and this is the largest banner die that is in the Stylish Shape dies, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm good and centered. And I'm going to take some of that new Post-it note tape. One of these days, I'm going to run out. And I'm going to run out because I will have forgotten how to order before I run out. You know how that goes. Alright, so very quickly, we're going to die cut that. Get my cutting mat back on there. And pick up my cardstock. There we go. And I'm going to run it through. Even though it's on paper, I don't have to hold it until I get to that die. I should have tilted it. I know. I'm bad. It's okay. It'll be alright. I don't think it's as hard on their machines as they make it out to be. Really don't. Okay. That. Let me poke that out and get my tape back off. And put my die back up. I know y'all are probably bored seeing me always put my stuff up, but guys, if y'all have done card making or any kind of crafting, you know how easy it is to lose their stuff, right? You know that. I know that. Probably one of the most expensive lessons I learned was my set of deckled rectangles. Love that set. But I gotta tell you, I was so sad. So sad because I lost the biggest one. The biggest one in the set had to reorder. So now I have one and almost a whole set. Alright, so I'm just going to take this and I'm kind of gauging it from top to bottom. You've got so much flexibility. If you want it down here, if you want it up more to the top, whatever feels good and looks good to you. And you saw my other sample. You can also do this in a horizontal card, in a landscape card. So now I know I just need to put glue over here on this end. I'm going to get my glue out. We're going to get that attached. Now, I'm not using dimensionals anywhere on this card. No dimensionals. You don't need them. You don't. And I'm making sure the ends of my banner don't come off the card. In fact, they're pretty much lined up with the edge of that DSP there, right here. So now we have that, and this is all good and dry. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back here, enough to where I know it's going to hold it really well. And it's not going to show. Didn't show on my other cards, and it's not going to show on this one. And I don't know if it's because it's colored as dark as it is, but we're not done yet, guys. Hang with me just another second or two. And I'm trying to think if there is anything else I need to tell you, any news. So, February 14th, I should have my pre-order in and get to start playing with it. Yes, let me give you a heads up about next week. Next Tuesday, I'm going to do my best to try to have a pre-recorded video uploaded for you, okay? I have got to take a week off and get my ceilings painted. It seems like everything just keeps pushing me back and pushing me back. I've had my paint ready, my drop cloths, everything I need has been ready for some time. And I really want to do it before we start getting into really nice weather. Because I don't want to be painting my ceilings in. I want to be outside enjoying God's new gifts to us, okay? So these are the Blooming Pearls, Garden Green, Gold, Petal Pink, and Pretty Peacock. However, look at this petal pink with this berry burst. Isn't that pretty? I loved it. I thought it was perfect. So that's what we're going to put in the very middle of that middle piece here in the flower, and it's just gonna bring that to life. Look at the difference that made, and it's soft and it's elegant. Is this not a brightening, uplifting, even though it's a sympathy card? I love this. Whatever DSP you have, you can make it work. You do you, whatever color scheme that you like to share and give to others in their time of need. That's what you do. All right, guys. But yeah, I am going to try to have one uploaded for you. I definitely will have one uploaded for next Friday. I've got a card class tomorrow. Actually, it's our card ministry class. I've got everything here that I've got to get loaded up and in all its containers that I use for transporting my stuff back and forth. But one more time, let me go over this very quickly if you got pen and paper. So your card base is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4, and you're going to cut off 1 1/4 inches just on this front piece. These two pieces here, this one is 1 5/8 by 5 3/8. This one is 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. This one is 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this white piece we put inside is 2 3/4 by 5 3/8. That way there, if if my brain shut down and I didn't give you all the dimensions, there you are. You've got them. I use the largest flagged die in the stylish shape dies. Use what you have. Obviously, one of my original templates, it was in landscape instead of in portrait mode. So whichever one you take to, this too also had just very soft colors. And I felt like it was actually quite suitable to be a male sympathy card. I mean, why not? You've got blues and greens. And I used that little splatter stamp in the background. I stamped it off. And I've got a strip right here on the inside, which I don't even... Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same dimension. And so it's 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. Right? Let me make sure, because sometimes dimensions can change. Let me see what I've got here. Yes, it is. It's 5 3/8. So you go to your 1/4 inch and 2 more tick marks, which is an extra 1/8. And that gives you your 3/8. Okay? Alright, guys, until we meet again, I don't know what I'm going to have uploaded for you for next week, but it'll be something good, or at least I'll try to make it something good. Oh, one thing I did want to mention. So the card we did last week, or Tuesday live, and it was horrible. And then when all was said and done and everything was over with, I got to looking. Remember how we ink blended on here with Pool Party? Well, it was so light, you couldn't even tell I had anything on there. So after the video, I did go back and I filled that in even more. And I mean, I've got some areas that are darker and some areas that may not have seen very much more ink blending. So it's not, it's not perfect. But I think that just tied everything in really well with the pebble path on the leaves, with the pebble path on these roses. I stamped that large cluster in the pebble path on the, I want to say Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana. And then I used a piece of that Coastal Cabana print that is also in that softly stippled DSP, okay? All right, guys. So, till we meet again, y'all be blessed. Do be safe. Know you're loved. God is good all the time. Bye.